Welcome again to another episode of the Dialed and Driven Hockey Mentality Podcast. Chris Palmer, Piranha Training, mental performance coach for hockey players. Jeff Lurg, he's a former professional hockey player, and one of the reasons why we do this podcast is we want to give you actionable things every single week, lessons from every part of life that we can think about. And today, we're in a cool place. We're at Michigan State. It's an awesome place to do this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. It is a great place for so many reasons. One of the reasons is that Jeff Lurg was an amazing goalie here and actually a national champion goalie here. But he's brought in a guest who's also from Michigan State and who is outstanding as well. I'm going to turn over the introduction, but I want you to know that the lessons that come out today are incredibly useful, incredibly practical. Jeff, you want to do our introduction?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, we are back at Michigan State. For those watching on our YouTube channel, you'll see again kind of a different backdrop than last week's episode, but right back at my happy place here. It always feels like paradise when we come on campus. And today we have another All-American goaltender from Michigan State, Jake Hildebrand. Really good friend of mine. Came a few years after I graduated. They just rinse and repeat, new All-American goalie coming in. Jake had an awesome college career. He's transpired that into an awesome pro career. So Jake's still playing. He's playing over in the highest leagues in Europe. He's playing in Germany for next season. And Jake, welcome to the Dial and Driven Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we're fired up to have you. We talk a little bit of goaltending, a little bit of mental performance, and just all things sports to inspire the next generation. And for me, I want to bring up, just from knowing you for a handful of years, being around you, you're someone who, in a sense, is kind of the opposite of me at times. Like, I'm kind of hyper and high-strung when I'm preparing for something. I think you could roll out of bed, have a Snickers, and pitch a 50-save shutout. So I don't know if that's necessarily true, but you're someone to me who just is a gamer. You know, obviously I know you work really hard, but you just have this ability to rise up in my evaluation. Having never been your teammate, you're always someone who, if you were my goalie, I'd trust you. You know, so maybe you can talk a little bit about that, maybe how you developed this mentality, because you truly were a goaltender during your days at Michigan State, especially, that would always be getting peppered game after game, and then you were the Big Ten league MVP one of your years.
Yeah, and I think going through the years, I remember talking to some pro goalie coaches, and they talk about your routines, and it's ever changing. What I did when I was 16 changed to when I was 18, and as it goes on, and I felt like, you know, you try to be serious, you try to not talk. Some days you're trying to talk, you're trying to do a bunch of different things. And I felt like, for me, the quiet calmness, the quiet confidence has always been my thing. If I, get too into things where I'm, starting to time things, everything, that's not when I'm at my best. And I've always found, for me to be at my best, the most important thing is I have to have fun. If I'm having fun, especially in practice, when I'm playing my best in games, I'm having the most fun in practice. You're competing, diving for saves. Who cares if you get it? But having fun was the biggest thing. And then just kind of the quiet confidence before games, during games. You try and have that even keel. Some of the goalies that I've looked up to over the years, you watch them play, they always have that, the calmness. And I look at a guy, everybody says Carey Price, and he was so good, but I loved how he never really looked too high or too low. It was just always like right here. And I feel like in big moments, if you stay here, it helps me have success.
That's so awesome, because it's so hard, right? I mean, whether it's a stadium full of fans booing against you, or it could be something as simple as an advisor in the place, or a scout checking you out. It's so hard to keep level. Is there anything you've done that allows you to keep level? Because that's not the norm.
I think experience, and to be in certain situations. I look back and I've won a few championships recently, and I credit those to the one I lost. In Florida, we won the regular season. We were the favorites to win the Kelly Cup that year. We ended up losing first round. It was the COVID year, so it was only, I think, 8 teams made the playoffs. We're playing South Carolina, and every team that coached that year was unreal, because half the American League was sending their guys down, or they had young players playing with them, and only maybe like a third or half the coast teams were playing. So like it was a really, really good league that year. And we lost first round and we're expected to win it. And I felt like, okay, I failed. Now I know what to do to be successful. And I felt like in those situations, you see a lot of guys, I don't know, you talk about crumble under pressure. It's almost like they try and do too much. It's like, okay, I'm in the final series. I'm playing for a championship. It's overtime. I need to make the big save, or I need to do this. And it's like, no, you need to do what got you there and do it over and over and over. And that's where I think success, especially in playoffs where, you know, everything's so tight defensively, it's the goals that go through you. You're trying to do too much. You're overplaying something. If you just keep doing the right thing, good things will happen.
You look at the emotionality, even if you look at the Stanley Cup run that just happened, you know, just look at the 6-1 game. It was game 3 of 6-1. People are losing their minds. I mean, there's so many fights the whole game, just people who couldn't keep it together. And it goes right to your point. That's if you are letting yourself be distracted by things other than doing your damn job, you're not going to do your damn job. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. There's something about you that I see as a theme, though. If you look at your stats, you're this guy who's a difference maker over and over again, whether it was playing in Germany, whether it was, you know, Big Ten Player of the Year. I mean, Big Ten Player of the Year, let's just define that really quickly. There's so many people who are great. So many people who are great. And somehow you stood out there. You stood out in Germany. You stand out, period. There's something that's a difference maker in you. And I'm so curious, how did you get to that? What do you think it was about you that really made you stand out as a difference maker? There's so many candidates.
For one, I think the biggest thing, and Jeff knows this as well, like just having the mindset of being a winner. And as a goalie, there's so many distractions. I think the worst thing you can do during a game is look at the shot clock, because half the time the shots are wrong. They're missing. Sometimes you'll make a save, make another save, they'll put the rebound in. You see one shot, one goal, and you're just like, you got to be kidding me. And that mentally can get you so off your game. And especially too, like sometimes you're going to be on bad teams where you get 40 shots and you lose 2-1, or sometimes you're going to be on good teams and you get 15 shots and you win 4-3. And for me, I always value the wins over the stats. And I think I've seen it on both sides, but like just finding ways to win, because I think as a goalie, that's the hardest thing to do is be a winner. And you look at every coach and you talk to anybody at a high level, what is the most important thing? What's the most important stat? Your wins and losses. You're winning hockey games. Your coach doesn't care what's numbers, whatever. As long as you're a winner, he wants you in the net.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you did have a high-level internal belief system, and you still do. And I kind of felt the same way as an athlete growing up. It was, at the end of the day, it could be that 6'5" monster down there drafted in the first round, but I want to steal that win from him. You know, I want that win more than him, and I think that's why you and I see eye to eye on many things. Like we both coincidentally look at, kind of just looking back at our careers. Now, your career's not done, so I'm not closing the door on you, but combined between both of us, 4 total American Hockey League games. Like 4 total. I mean, we were, not that we're just all about our stats and career accolades, but all American hockey players at the NCAA Division I college hockey level, total combined 4 games in the American Hockey League. But you're still doing it. You're just following the next door open for you. You know, and that's many of the messages we give to our hockey players. Like, you went down to this ECHL team, the AA pro level in Florida. You lost the championship the one year. You felt there was a failure. You come back the next year, you guys won.
Yeah.
Right? And then that helped propel you into the high-level hockey leagues over in Europe. You went to the second German league, which is still a high-level pro, just to clarify. It's a league that I wanted to play in. You know, I never got the chance. But you went to that league. You won another championship. And then maybe you can give us the background on that. Kind of fill us in. What was that season like, and then what took place after that?
Well, I think going to Frankfurt, I always wanted to play in Europe. I didn't really have an opportunity to go over there to a good league, where I didn't want to just go over. I wanted to go over, after having the taste of success in Florida. And I mean, sometimes in the coast where I was on bad teams, we didn't win very much. And I think once you get that taste of success, the taste of winning, you just want to win. And that's like, for me, it was the Frankfurt GM calls me, and we're going over everything. And he basically said, hey, we're putting together a team to try and win the second league and get promoted to the top league. It's kind of like the promotion relegation they have in soccer. Same thing with the German league. So he's like, this is what we're doing. You're going to come in. We only have have 4 import spots. We're using one of them on a goalie, which is going to be you. So he's like, it's big. You're expected to win, which I think all year that was the message. Like, we're here to win. This is our goal. So all year you feel that pressure, but it was almost like this is our job and we're here to do that. And we were fortunate enough to get it done that year. That was probably the best run of hockey I think I've ever seen, that Del 2 championship. We won the last 2 games of the regular season, and then we went 12-0 in playoffs. We didn't lose a game, and it was unbelievable. Like, we had a group of older guys. We signed a few veterans throughout the season. And I mean, to be able to do that, and with that being said, like, it promotes you to the top league, which I don't know. If I didn't win it that year, I might not be playing in the top league right now. So very fortunate to do that and kind of keep that success rolling. And the fans over there are like soccer fans. They're so passionate. Like, the games are so loud. It's the most fun. Every game's like playing in Toledo with 8,000 people. So that rink's loud. So every game's like that. It's great.
Yeah, it's an awesome experience, and you're still living it. So, keep doing it to the fullest. But I mean, think about that, Chris. Like, that GM calls me in the off season and says, "We're signing you to win the championship." And then for 8 months, the only goal is to win the championship. And I remember talking with you, I think even throughout the playoffs, you kind of would say, like, our team's loaded. Like, really good. We got a bunch of older guys, and we're all hungry, and you guys just blasted through the playoffs. And then the prize was won, and then you were kept along, which you should have been, to stay in the top league. And now you're playing in the top German league, which is a highly competitive league. And now you're playing against even many more players who had some NHL minutes, I'm sure, and you're kind of living your best life there. How's that been? And maybe you can talk about the mentality that you've had along the way, or maybe some ups and downs throughout.
After that year, so I had another year in Frankfurt. It was our first year in the top league, and I go back to like that mentality where you just want to win. And I felt like over there it's hard because the budgets from the top teams to the bottom teams are very different. I don't know exact numbers, but I think like the high end teams spend 20 to 25 million, the lower end teams spend 6 to 10 million. So it's like, when you're playing against those top teams, you almost feel like you don't have a chance. Like, I remember one time we were playing my first year against Munich. We were missing a few guys, and I think they outshot us 45 to 15, and I don't think we touched the puck. And it was just like, it felt like I kind of lost that, where like, I'm here to win. I want to win. And I was very fortunate. I got the opportunity to go to Berlin after that. Berlin is the record meister in the German league. They've won the most championships, and they were having an off season. In Frankfurt, we actually bumped them out of the last playoff spot that year. So they were first time they'd missed the playoffs in quite some time, and they were going to kind of revamp the team, bring in some new guys, and I was going to be a part of that, which I was really excited about. Tough comparison, but it's almost like playing for the Yankees, the German league. So going over there, I signed there. You almost feel like you're playing in the NHL, like our arena, 15,000. We sell out most games. We travel very well. But again, like, you're coming there to win. The winning is the only thing acceptable. If you're not winning, it's not acceptable. So it's a lot of pressure, but I think the pressure makes it fun. You get to start, like, I'm 32 now. I'm not playing hockey just to have fun. It's like I'm playing for a reason. I want to keep winning, and I want to keep doing what I've done.
So interesting that this idea you're really mentioning kind of 2 things. You're talking about looking at the scoreboard and seeing the shots and whether they're right or not, and how that's such a distraction against doing your job. And in sports psychology they talk about process, and I caveman it up and call it doing your job. But for you, you mentioned that just from the get-go in this interview, and yet you talked about one of the things that helps you is just focusing on winning. And those 2 things are really hard to put together. I think we've all been in locker rooms where the coach says it's a must-win game, and half the guys are peeing their pants because, oh my gosh, I'm so focused about that they're not focused on doing the things that lead to winning. It's such a distraction. How did you, for the sake of people who have to go through this, how did you go from using this wanting to win and focusing on winning to not make the focus so much on winning that you forgot how to do the things that lead to winning?
I think for me, I have just a few points that I always focus on that make me successful. So regardless of what's going on around me, I'm thinking in my head, like, proper stance, head checks, things like that in my head, that if I just keep doing those over and over and over, we're going to go score. And I don't know, like, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm on a very good team. We score quite a few goals. And you build that confidence in your team that if I do my job, I know at some point we're going to score and we're going to win. So I try to keep those things in my head the whole time. The narrow feet, good proper stance, and head checks. And I think the head checks really like calm you down in a sense, where if you're scanning the ice nonstop, you know where every single threat is. So you know exactly where the puck can go, where is the possible threat. When you know all those things, it's almost like the game, it's not easy, but it comes easy to you. So it's just the nonstop movements where you're scanning, reading. And now I think goaltending, they say goalies develop later, they hit their prime later. And I think it's because you see all these scenarios and then your brain recognizes it. And it's like, okay, puck's here. This guy's not a shooting threat, but this guy's open. He's not a one-timer, so I have time to get there on my feet and I can get this amount of depth. And you're all like processing that all at once.
You're a really good student of the game, But you said something I wanted to make sure I mentioned. We had our awesome producer, Natalie, on. She talked about when she was playing, she just kept telling herself, watch the puck. She would just watch the puck the whole way up, and she would be following the play. For me, I would be doing the same thing. I'd almost be like on the commentary of the game. Okay, it's a 2-on-1. Okay, their guy's high. I'd be just intently watching. Like you, we've had no backstory, no history of this. You're just talking about, hey, if you're shoulder checking, you're looking, you're starting to read the play. Our ethos on this show is all about, it's not just the technical skill that makes you successful. You're a highly technically skilled goalie, but there's a huge tactical part of it. Like we're all saying the same thing. We've had no history amongst one another. So I thought it was just very intriguing to hear you run through that, because you're giving me some flashbacks to when I played. It was all about take care of the three main things that make me good, and just keep my eye kind of predicting what's going to happen next. So very intriguing. So anyways, Chris, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's awesome. Well, you mentioned this thing is great. So many people talk to me about how painful goal 3 is for a goalie. Because, the typical is, the walk of shame's coming, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be pulled, and your head starts screaming at different levels, maybe not with you, but there's bound to be a level somewhere with you where your head was screaming, and it's 3, and oh my gosh, I'm going to get pulled in the skate of shame, and this sucks, and I don't want this. Can you think of anything that helps you stay in your moment in times like that? There had to be times in your career where you're like some of these guys trying to figure it out, who just lose their minds, and they actually help goal 4 happen. Any thoughts on that? Anything that might be usable for people to get past that?
Well, Lurgy, we've talked about this before. Playing in Kalamazoo were the highest scoring hockey games I've ever played in my career. And sometimes you play a 6-5 game and you're happy with how you played, and it's just the way it was. And you kind of like playing there was just accepting it. I don't know what it was about the rink. The corners were shallow. It felt like everything was a scoring chance. And I'm playing Toledo. It's up and down the ice. Yeah. Like it was. So I think playing there in the high scoring games helped me with those. But I think part of that, you always have that in the back of your head, like, I don't want to get pulled. I'm at 2 if I give up another one. And I think that goes back to those mentalities where you have to stay calm and do your job, worry about yourself. It's almost like when you see goalies get pulled, I feel like, say the first 2 shots went bar down from a good area, backdoor one-timer. You gave up 2, but what are you going to do? You did what you're supposed to do. But all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I'm getting beat high glove. And then all of a sudden, your hand gets tense. And all of a sudden, somebody comes down, rips one, and it squeaks through your arm because you're worried about getting beat bar down. And it's like, I think knowing like what you can and what you can't give up, because there's going to be games sometimes where you give up 5 and they just had good chances. But getting away from, don't let pucks go through you, set your feet, top of the crease, things like that. When you try and get away from that, well, for me, those were like things that I pride myself on, like making sure pucks don't go through me. I'm not the biggest guy, so I'm going to get beat over my shoulder sometime. It just is what it is. But like, if a guy like me, if pucks start going through you, then it's game over. So I just make sure, if I give up 2 and I don't think I did anything wrong, it's like, just keep on that.
That's great. Thank you.
I know you haven't listened to all of our episodes yet, Jake, but you might, because you've been hitting the nail on the head. First off, we had an episode talking about how athletes can go to like a place or a rink and they just haven't had success there. And believe it or not, Kalamazoo, Michigan was my kryptonite. So you are correct. Every game I played in that building, it was 6'5", 5'4".
It was crazy.
It was tough mentally. Yeah. I'd be on that bus on the way there being like, all right, I got to find a way to sneak out of here. And again, same thing. I'd win 5-4 in a shootout, and I'd just be so pumped that I got to win.
Yeah.
And I didn't get yanked after 4. So that was the one. The other thing that you're just nailing is so funny. Chris always just says, got to go back to doing your job. And so all these intriguing aspects, it's someone who was a successful youth athlete, then went on to juniors, you played in the USHL, then you went to college, Division I, Big Ten school, obviously at Michigan State, then you've gone to the pro ranks. You didn't get success right away. As we mentioned, you weren't just given a spot to go play in the American League. You had to kind of grind it through the AA level. But you're someone who just keeps trying to open the door for yourself. And now you're here again. You've had a handful of years pro. And speaking to you before the show, you said, "Yeah, I'm gonna keep training, keep going," and you have the intent to go keep playing as long as you can. So I think it's awesome that you're the living proof of following your path, doing all the dirty work to go do your best to open the next opportunity. And you've really summed up a lot of our lessons and teaching points. And Chris, I'll let you kind of summarize and maybe have another follow-up as we close out. But it's been awesome to hear your journey and stories, because all of these things are the reason that we're doing this show. It's not all about the skill. It's all about the mentality that it takes.
Yeah, I mean, you can read sports psychology books all you want, and it's like, it's like a bad biology class. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cells. So what? But it's like real life. This is real stuff. And what's really cool now is you've got decades in this game. Decades. When did you start playing hockey?
I think it was 7. I think it was 7.
Yeah, so 25 years.
25
years playing this game.
Yeah.
And just all the way up to the AHL. Amazing. Just doing incredible things. So I'd love to know, do you have any thoughts for that 8-year-old kid in a house league who has a big dream, for that girl who made a AA team and just doesn't quite believe in themselves, or the kid who's been busting his butt at Tier 1, doesn't get drafted, the guy who's in juniors and he's about to hit his age out year and oh my gosh, or the guy who's in the NHL who thought everything was going great and all of a sudden an injury comes and life falls apart. You are the difference maker guy. Your whole career proves this. You're a guy who's so focused on just committing yourself completely to this thing. Is there anything you would want to say that we haven't said yet that might be usable or helpful to people just trying to overcome?
I guess 2 things. Like, we have a saying, I really enjoyed working with my goalie coach in Berlin. He's been great for me. Personally, he's extremely technical. We can kind of talk about not just hockey, life. So I feel like when you're a goalie coach, it's not just like being a goalie coach is different than a regular coach. You have like these conversations, and I feel like you kind of, it's a friendship. It's coach player, but it's a friendship. But it's like believing good things happen. It's that belief. And I think like the negative thoughts goes back to that, I gave up 2. I don't want to give up the 3rd one. So you're telling yourself things you don't want to do, as opposed to the positive thoughts where you're like, I need to do this. And it's like believing good things happen. And for me, it's been crazy, but I feel like I kind of changed my mindset. I was pigeonholed in North America. I was playing in the coast. Few tough years. I felt like I didn't get a good, chance my first year, and all of a sudden it's coast deal. I'm not getting anything. I wasn't putting up great numbers, and just like that belief that you believe in good things happen. I've still never lost the belief, and I think my mindset actually even changed when I went to Florida, and since then it's just been like steadily growing. So like just the belief in yourself that good things happen, and self-talk is very important. If you talk to yourself negatively, bad things are going to happen. Like you give up a goal, you swear, say something, talk about yourself bad, and it's like, no, if you believe in good things will happen. So
that's awesome. Thank you for all of this today. And I think just to wrap up for the guys watching and listening, we always want to bring you something that's useful, and what's been more useful than this? we've got a story about overcoming. We've got a story about belief. We've got a story about finding a way to make things happen when things aren't so good. Finding a way to go from being negative to being positive and not being fake positive. False affirmations are the worst thing. I'm the best person in the world. That kind of stuff doesn't work. Real truthful things that you tell yourself, really truthful affirmations about things that are positive about your life and hopeful about your life and realistic about your life, they drive you. You're proof of this. On top of that, you're a guy who found a way to be a leader even when sometimes it was really incredibly hard. You're willing to leave this country to go to another country for opportunities and go past the fears and the difficulties of going to a new place. But over and over again, this whole story is about adaptation, going for what you want, being dialed, being driven, giving everything you have for everything you want. It's a perfect story. Thank you so much for your time today. Jeff, you want to take us out?
Yeah, it was awesome, Jake. It was intriguing to hear your story. And really, at the start, I talk about how he looks like he could roll out of bed and pitch a shutout. But he explained why. Part of the recipe that makes him successful is that he needs to be a calm demeanor in there. He needs to act like there's nothing wrong going on. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. But behind the scenes, he's working his butt off. He's been up here at Michigan State on campus. He's in the gym every day. He's skating throughout the summer. He's doing things that other goalies that he's going to compete against are not doing. He's doing more. So there's a reason why he has this internal belief. And you've been a winner before, and yeah, go ahead.
Well, I actually wanted to go on top of that is I think another reason that you can have confidence in yourself is knowing that you did everything to prepare yourself. If you do absolutely everything that you can and things don't go your way, you have no regrets. There's nothing you can look back on like, oh, I wish I would have done that. It's like, no, I literally did everything in my power to put myself in the best position to be successful. And if you do that and you don't have success, you can live with it. Like it's completely fine. But more times than not, if you do everything right and you work as hard as you possibly can, good things are going to happen for you.
We love your mentality. We love your story. I'm super grateful that you're willing to come on here and give us your time. And to you and all of our listeners, just remember, keep staying dialed and staying driven on your goals, as that's the only way to accomplish success.
Again, the Hockey Mentality Podcast, Dialed and Driven.